For more on a different perspective, we want to welcome in Chris Piehota. He is a former director of terrorist screening at the center and former FBI agent who focused on counterterrorism. Chris, thanks so much for being with us. We've heard the term terrorist used a lot over the last couple of days. You're an expert in this field. What constitutes the word terrorist?
Well, terrorism, by definition, is the use of force or violence to intimidate a population for political or ideological perspective or endeavor or agenda. So the use of intimidation of communities, the use of crime, violence to further your personal views or position constitutes terror in its various forms. And also, good morning. Thank you for allowing me to visit with you, and happy Easter to your audience.
Happy Easter to you as well, too. On this, though, is this a legal definition? Because he's been called this repeatedly by the administration officials. Is a gang member, although, gangs are known to engage in horrible kinds of criminal behavior, are they necessarily meeting the legal law enforcement standard of terrorism?
They can be. I mean, it depends on the tactics that they use and the approaches that they use. Gang members use terrorist tactics to achieve their criminal organizational objectives. And one thing I will say is that, this isn't the first time that transnational organized crime gangs have been recognized as a national security threat. It was also recognized under the Obama administration that transnational organized crime was, in fact, a national security issue. So this isn't the first time this discussion has come up. And during my time at the Terrorist Screening Center, we had begun monitoring and tracking the activities of certain transnational organized crime organizations or gangs for that specific reason.
So I don't know if you heard our previous conversation just now, but local police in Prince George's County released some information about an encounter with Mr. Abrego Garcia back in 2019. They said that he had indications of association with MS-13. However, he was not charged with a crime, and they had no subsequent run-ins with him until the day he was arrested later by ICE itself. What, in your view as a law enforcement professional, tells you whether or not somebody is an MS-13?
Well, you have to look at the articulable facts and circumstances surrounding Mr. Garcia, and you have to look at the reasonable suspicion that he might be or he could be engaged with gang activity, he could be engaged in certain crime. And that's where law enforcement investigative work comes into play, where you start looking at, again, his affiliates, his activities, his life patterns, and things of that sort. And as well as the, the markings on his body, if he had the tattoos that were recently shown in the public, it gives you a strong indicator that he's affiliated with those people or that organization.
But what do we know about this protective order, Chris, though? Because the court decided that if this guy got sent back, he could be in danger from the very group that he's being accused by the administration of being a member of.
Well, I think actually he was more concerned about violence from a separate gang. The 18th Street Gang, I believe they were named as. He was associated with MS-13. He made his case to an immigration court, which found his case compelling, but he was also issued a deportation order by the same immigration system. So I think at this point you have a more complex interweaving of authorities that has to be looked at the level of the Attorney General, the Secretary of DHS, and White House officials.
Well, one thing hasn't changed. Abrego Garcia remains in that El Salvador prison this morning. Chris Piehota, thank you for shedding some light on the intricacies of the screening and how these operations work from a law enforcement standpoint. Chris Piehota, the former director of the Terrorist Screening Center, joining us live this morning. Chris, we thank you.
Thank you, sir.